my name is Jessica. I work here at the Young Women's Resource Center, and I'm a part of the empowerment team.
I'm Frida. I work with Jessica on the empowerment team at the Women's Center, and we're both sexual health educators.
Today we're going to walk you through what we would do during a period party and answer some questions from our question box. So we hold period parties with all of our groups, and during those groups we put out pieces of paper all over the tables and allow people to anonymously ask questions, and then they put them in this question box and we'll answer them at the end of the day. So the reason we do anonymous question boxes is because everyone has questions about our bodies and periods and all things related to puberty and changing bodies. So we want to allow folks to have their questions answered in a safe environment and not feel like ashamed of their questions. So now we're going to walk you through some of the questions that we've received. And all of these questions in the question box are actually questions from our participants in the past. Okay, first question. Why don't men get periods? This is a super common question that we get. So if you remember from our video about anatomy, we talked about internal reproductive organs, right? And basically the reason somebody menstruates or has a period is because they're born with these internal reproductive organs. Some people are born with different reproductive organs where menstruation doesn't happen. Those people are usually assigned male at birth, right? But people with this awesome like uterus, ovaries, fallopian tubes, that's just the reason why some people menstruate and others don't. It's because of these internal organs. Can you shave your vagina hair? That's a great question. We get this question a lot. Yes, you can shave your pubic hair if you would like to. Your body is your body and you can do what you want with it. However, I always like to caution that if you do choose to remove your body hair, that you know that you're doing it in a safe way. There are many products that can cause irritation because the skin on our vulva and our mons pubis, where that pubic hair grows, is really, really sensitive. So probably the most sensitive skin on your entire body. So you wanna make sure that if you're removing that hair, you're doing it in a really safe way. So make sure you do your research, ask a trusted adult how they do it safely, and know that you don't have to do it if you don't want to. Just because your friend does doesn't mean that you have to. It's your body and it's your choice.
All right, next question. What is PMS? PMS stands for premenstrual symptoms. And it's something that some folks experience, some folks don't. But leading up to the beginning of menstruation, the beginning of your period, you have these like hormonal changes in your body, right? And sometimes these hormonal changes can cause some symptoms, like some things to happen to your body. So some folks, they might have mood changes. Some folks, they might feel like more bloated in their lower belly, especially as their uterus kind of prepares for the period, the menstruation to happen. And some people might have some pretty intense cramping. So if you're experiencing some of these symptoms, it's totally normal, but it's also very normal to go to a doctor and talk to them about it, right? Especially if these symptoms are starting to get in the way of you just like living your day-to-day, your normal life, right? Because there are different like medications that you can try to kind of get those symptoms in check so they're not bothering you quite as much.
Does discharge hurt and why is it white? Discharge should not hurt, and I would say it likely does not hurt. You probably won't even notice that discharge has come out of your vagina until you go to the bathroom or when you wipe when you use the restroom. Discharge is just your body cleaning itself. So you can see up here, this is the vaginal opening or right there, and then right there we have the cervix. So discharge is literally just fluid from the glands of the vagina and the cervix, and it's our body's way of cleaning out any bacteria or germs or things that the body doesn't need anymore inside.
All right, next question. Why do we get cramps? So, cramps happen to some people, not everyone, either before they start menstruating or while they're menstruating. And what causes cramps is the uterus. So if you remember from our anatomy video, we talked about how the uterus is this really strong muscle that we have in our bodies, about the size of our fist, right? And so when the uterus is getting rid of that tissue and that blood that's kind of built up in the walls, it does that by contracting, right? So it kind of squeezes and then relaxes. So this muscle, our uterus, is getting kind of a workout in our bodies while we're menstruating. So just like we might get cramps in our arm muscles or our leg muscles, we can get cramps in our uterus. So it's just a muscle cramp, right? It might feel a little bit different because it's kind of deeper inside of our bodies than our arm muscles or our leg muscles. But deal with it how you would deal with any other muscle cramp, right? So sometimes taking something like ibuprofen or aspirin, taking a hot bath, using a heating pad, just taking it easy, kind of relaxing, all of those things can help with period cramps. But like PMS, if it's very painful, if it's kind of getting in the way of you like living your day-to-day life, it's a good idea to go to a doctor and talk to them about it, because again, there are different medications and things that they can give you to help with more intense menstrual cramps.
How do you know when you're going to start your period? This is a really great question. Frida touched on what premenstrual symptoms are. If you notice any of those symptoms going on in your body, you can kind of guesstimate that you might be starting your period within the next maybe 7 to 10 days, or even 4. It really just depends when you start to notice those symptoms. So if you notice that maybe you're getting acne more than usual, or if your breasts are tender, or you're getting cramps beforehand. A lot of people notice like changes in their mood and interests that week. All of those could be signs that you are going to start your period soon.
Discharge can be another way to kind of keep track of your body's cycle and know if you're going to start your period. But it's really, everybody's body is different, right? So after you start menstruating, you'll learn to kind of notice the signs in your body leading up to menstruation or leading up to your period. How much will it be? So this question is asking how much like menstrual fluid, period blood will come out of our bodies as we menstruate. It's a really great question. Sometimes it can seem like a lot, right? I know some people get a little bit nervous. They think that they're like losing a lot of blood or something, but it's actually only between 2 to 16 teaspoons. Each cycle, each period we have is only about 2 to 16 teaspoons of liquid. And that's not all blood either, because the blood that comes from the uterus, it's gonna mix in with other fluid, right? Other fluid that comes like from our cervix, like discharge. So when we have our periods, it can kind of seem like a lot sometimes of blood is coming out of our bodies, but it's really not that much. And it's like perfectly normal and healthy for your body to lose that blood and that fluid each month.
When you put tampons on, that's what I heard, do they hurt? So no, when you use a tampon, it should not hurt. I have a little tampon here in my pocket. So typically tampons have multiple parts. So they come in this wrapper so that it protects the tampon from any germs that could end up affecting your body. But then it has this applicator. It can either be plastic or cardboard. And then inside is the actual tampon that is inserted into your body. And it is made of like cotton and other materials that can absorb your menstrual blood and those other fluids that we talked about. So when you insert a tampon, a way to make sure that you don't feel uncomfortable with it is to insert it at an angle and go very gently. So you'll go, I use my hand, here's my vagina, right? You'll go until your hands touch your vulva or your labia, and then with one of your fingers, you'll very slightly push that tampon and then remove the plastic and throw this away. So this little tail will be on the outside of your body hanging a little bit so that when you are ready to remove your tampon, you can very easily and gently pull it out. This shouldn't be painful. If you are on your period and you are like maybe day 2, there's a lot of menstrual blood that it is collecting, then this will be actually quite smooth coming out. The only time that it might be a little uncomfortable is maybe on that very last day of your period, and maybe there's just not enough soaking up in this tampon, so you might feel it kind of feel the cotton a little bit more as you pull it out, and that's okay. Maybe on those days you can just switch to wearing a pad or a panty liner instead, but tampons should not hurt while you use them.
If it does feel a little bit uncomfortable after it's inserted, so this is where the tampons live, right, in the vagina. It might not be far enough up in the vagina, right? So to make sure that it's comfortable when we put it in, just like Jessica said, you really want to make sure that it is inserted all the way into the vagina. So if it's feeling a little bit uncomfy, if you can really feel it in your body after you put it in, that might just be a sign that you need to take it out. Try again. Try to insert it a little bit more like Jessica just demonstrated.
And tampons come with practice, so you might not be super comfortable using them at first, but the more and more you use them, the more comfortable you get with them, and you probably won't even notice that you're wearing them.